My brother mocked me as a loser at my niece's party, while my family stood by and silently agreed. They forgot I funded it all, so I disappeared, and what I did next destroyed all he built. I stood in front of my parents' house, gripping a wrapped dollhouse in one hand and a bag of presents in the other. The decorations on the front porch were cheerful, pink balloons tied to the railing, a big glittery sign reading "Happy Birthday, Princess Lily." The sound of children laughing echoed from the backyard. I took a deep breath and rang the doorbell. The door swung open, and there she was, my mother, dressed in her usual pastel cardigan, the scent of vanilla cake wafting from inside. But the moment she saw me, her smile disappeared. "We don't want you here today," she said. I blinked. "What?" Then I heard the voice behind her, smug, sharp, and unmistakable. "This is no place for losers," my brother Jacob said, stepping up beside her, arms crossed, a slow grin spreading across his face. I felt it like a slap. Before I could respond, he scoffed, tilting his head. "Man, showing up like this? Cringe," he chuckled, shaking his head. "Lily doesn't even care if you're here. Why don't you embarrass yourself?" I felt a familiar wave of discomfort roll over me, the same feeling I'd had at every family gathering, every dinner, every holiday. The way they looked at me, their eyes darting to my unkempt hair, my wrinkled hoodie, the dark circles under my eyes from too many sleepless nights spent coding. I tightened my grip on the gift bag, swallowing down the lump in my throat. Barely contribute? Cringe? Lily doesn't care? A memory slammed into me. Just 6 months ago, Jacob had shown up at my apartment looking desperate. "Man, I just need a little help with Lily's school," he said, voice coated in fake humility. "It's just temporary. You know I'd do the same for you." I had transferred the money that same night, no questions, no hesitation. And now, I was a loser. I looked at my father, standing behind them, eyes darting away like he couldn't even meet my gaze. My mother shifted uncomfortably but said nothing. It was as if they had rehearsed this moment, as if they had all quietly agreed that I no longer belonged here. I could already hear my mother's inevitable excuse if I confronted her. "It's not about the money, sweetheart, it's just the way you present yourself." Right, because in their world, success wasn't measured by intelligence or skill. It was measured by designer suits, flashy cars, and golf memberships. Not by sleepless nights debugging code, not by patents, not by six-figure contracts from Silicon Valley companies that never required me to leave my apartment. To them, I was still the same awkward, messy kid who never fit in. Something twisted in my chest, pain, anger, disbelief. I could feel the words rising in my throat, the protests, the outrage, the demand for an explanation. But then, just as quickly as the fire flared, it died. I exhaled slowly. "Fine," I said, stepping back from the door. "If that's how you feel." I turned, walked back to my car, and placed the presents in the passenger seat. But just as I was about to shut the door, my eyes flicked back to the house, specifically to the backyard. Through the window, I caught a glimpse of Lily running around in her birthday dress, laughing as she played with the other kids. She had no idea what was happening at the front door. For a split second, I almost reconsidered. Then Jacob's words rang in my ears again, that smirk, that laugh. "This is no place for losers." I clenched my jaw and slid into the driver's seat. My hands tightened on the steering wheel as a cold realization settled over me. For years, I had convinced myself that I was part of this family, that I mattered. But I wasn't a brother. I wasn't a son. I was a walking ATM. "No place for losers, huh?" I muttered. "All right, let's see how they do without this loser funding their lives." I didn't turn my phone on for 2 days. I needed silence. No guilt-tripping texts from my mother, no half-hearted "let's move past this" from my dad, and definitely no smug, taunting messages from Jacob. I wanted to let them marinate in their decision, to let them feel what it was like when I wasn't there to pick up the pieces. But on the third day, curiosity got the better of me. I powered on my phone. 27 missed calls, 15 voicemails, 32 texts. My lips curled into a smirk. "There it is," I said. I scrolled through the messages, reading the highlights. "Mom, I don't know why you're acting like this. Jacob didn't mean it. Call me." "Dad, let's be reasonable. You know how family works." Jacob, "Mom, again, Lily's been asking about you." I rolled my eyes. "Oh, now she remembers I exist." The last message caught my attention. Kelly, Jacob's wife. "I'm sorry, I didn't agree with what happened. Please call me when you can." That one gave me pause. Kelly had always been quiet, always went along with whatever Jacob did. But something about her message felt different. Urgent. I wasn't in the mood to call anyone, but I typed out a reply. "Why are you apologizing?" 3 dots appeared instantly, then her response. "Because Jacob's losing his mind." I raised an eyebrow. Intriguing. "Define losing his mind," I texted back. This time she hesitated then. "Money's tight. He was counting on you for Lily's birthday party. He already spent way more than we had because he assumed you'd cover it later." When you didn't, he flipped out. Bad. I snorted. Of course he did. For years I'd been the invisible safety net beneath him, always catching him before he hit the ground. This time, I cut the strings and let him fall. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the half-eaten takeout container on my desk. Beside it, my monitor glowed with an open terminal window, strings of Python code running across the screen. I had been debugging something important before this, something that paid my bills, something that actually mattered. And yet, here I was, caught up in family drama, again. A normal person would have left it alone, let Jacob deal with the consequences of his own arrogance. But I wasn't feeling particularly merciful. I wanted to see it. I wanted to see him squirm. That evening, I drove past my parents' house, not to go in, just to watch. And it was glorious. The decorations were gone, the pink balloons deflated in the trash, the glittery Happy Birthday Princess Lily banner sagged on one side, half torn from the wind. Jacob's car was still in the driveway, but the smug energy was gone. Instead, I saw movement behind the curtains. Pacing. I rolled down my window just in time to hear something beautiful. Jacob's voice shouting, "I don't care, Mom. He's doing this on purpose. He's trying to humiliate me." I bit back a laugh. "Oh, buddy, you did that all on your own." I couldn't hear my mother's reply, but I could imagine it. The usual coddling, the same delusional excuses. "Jacob isn't the problem, sweetie. The world is just unfair to him." "Yeah, sure." Then out of the corner of my eye, I saw Kelly. She was sitting at the dining table, her face buried in her hands. Even from a distance, I could tell she wasn't just tired, she was done. I'd seen that look before, on my own face. Halfway home, my phone buzzed. Kelly again. I answered. "Talk to me," I said. She sighed. "Jacob's out of control." "Define out of control," I replied. "He's been screaming at your parents for hours, blaming them for not convincing you to fix this. He's furious because now he has to—" She hesitated, then exhaled sharply, like she was bracing for impact. "Now he has to sell his car to cover the party debt." I blinked, then I laughed. Oh, the irony. The same brother who mocked me for driving a used practical car, the same guy who said real men drive luxury, now had to sell his overpriced status symbol because he overestimated how much he could leech off me. I leaned back in my chair, shaking my head. "Tell me you recorded it," I said, still grinning. "I should have." "Oh, I already do." She was silent for a beat, then quietly, "Can I ask you something?" "Go for it," I said. "Why did you put up with it for so long?" That sobered me. Flashback to age 13, I was hunched over the family's ancient desktop computer, fingers flying over the keyboard. I had just finished writing my first program, a simple script that solved algebraic equations. Jacob, then 16, walked into the room. He took one look at the screen and scoffed. "You seriously spend your free time doing this?" I beamed, eager to explain. "It's a basic solver. You input an equation and it—" "Jesus Christ, nerd, no one cares," he interrupted, slamming the monitor power button. The screen blinked to black. I stared at it in stunned silence. My mother, who had been passing by, chuckled. "Sweetheart, you should go outside more, do something normal for once." Normal. That was the first time I realized that no matter how smart I was, my family would never care. Present day, I rubbed a hand over my face, Kelly's question still hanging in the air. I hesitated. I thought if I kept giving, eventually they'd see my worth, that they'd treat me like family instead of an ATM. Kelly inhaled sharply. "Yeah," she said. And somehow, for the first time, I believed her. I stared at the road ahead, my fingers tightening around the wheel. "Yeah," I repeated. And for the first time, someone in that house actually understood. That night, I slept like a king. By morning, Jacob had officially listed his car for sale. My mother had left me 3 more voicemails, each one shifting between, "You're hurting your family," "Your brother is struggling," and "Please be the bigger person." I deleted them all. By the end of the week, Jacob's car was gone. By the end of the month, Kelly and Lily were gone too. Turns out, once Jacob didn't have me to exploit, he turned on her. And Kelly. She wasn't as weak as he thought. She took Lily, filed for divorce, and moved in with her sister. The last text I ever got from her was simple. "Thank you." And Jacob? Well, Mom and Dad took him back in, of course. But with his credit ruined and his luxury lifestyle dismantled, he wasn't quite the golden boy anymore. So much for no place for losers. I sat in my apartment one night, sipping whiskey as I scrolled through his newly made GoFundMe page. Hard times, just trying to get back on my feet. Anything helps. I exhaled a laugh and shut my phone off. No place for losers? Guess he finally found out where he belonged. Jacob's downfall was delicious, but the best part? He still didn't get it. Even after selling his car, moving back in with our parents, and watching his wife and kid walk out on him, he still acted like the victim. Like the world had wronged him. Like I had wronged him, and oh, he was mad. I knew it the moment my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Hope you're happy. You ruined everything." I smirked. Block the number. A minute later, my email pinged. You need to fix this. You're selfish. You don't even care about Lily. Blocked. Then, 5 minutes after that, my doorbell rang. I already knew who it was. I didn't answer at first. Just let him stew on the other side of the door like a pathetic salesman who knew he wasn't getting the sale. Then, bang, 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 I rolled my eyes. Relax, I'm coming. When I finally opened the door, Jacob stood there, disheveled, sweating, looking more desperate than I'd ever seen him. You think this is funny? He spat. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. I think it's hilarious. His eye twitched. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Oh, more than you know. His jaw clenched. Lily cried when Kelly took her. You don't care about that? I scoffed. Lily cried because her father is an idiot who tanked his own life. Don't put that on me. I blinked, then I smiled. I think I'm free. Jacob flinched, just a little, then his face twisted in rage. You're a selfish fool, I sighed. You're still here. Jacob clenched his fists, chest heaving, but he wasn't a fighter. He was a talker, a manipulator, a beggar. And right now, begging wasn't working. This isn't over, he pointed a finger at me like a cheap movie villain. I gave him a slow, mocking nod. Sure, can't wait for part 2 of your sob story. Then, with all the dignity of a drunk raccoon, Jacob stormed off down the hall, muttering curses under his breath. I shut the door and exhaled. What a joke. A week passed, then 2. No more texts, no more emails, no more surprise visits. For the first time in years, I had peace. Then, one evening, my phone buzzed. Kelly, you should see this, she wrote, attaching a screenshot of Jacob's latest brilliant idea. A Facebook post. Long, dramatic, full of half-truths and sob stories about how some people turn their backs on family when times get tough. And of course, the cherry on top. It's okay though, I've always been the strong one. I'll get through this on my own. I nearly choked on my drink. The strong one? The guy who lived off my money for years? The guy who threw a tantrum because I stopped paying his bills? Oh, this was too good. I cracked my knuckles, grinning like the villain he thought I was. Time to end this. I didn't comment on the post. That would have been too easy, too public. No, I wanted something better, something permanent. So instead, I sent him a text. Strong men don't beg their younger brothers for rent money, or whine when they have to sell their car, or let their wife and kid walk away because they're too busy feeling sorry for themselves. I waited, and sure enough, 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again, then disappeared. For the first time in his life, Jacob had nothing to say. Good. I set my phone down, leaned back in my chair and exhaled deeply. It was over. For the first time in years, I was free. And Jacob? Well, Jacob was finally learning what it really meant to be alone. Silence. That was the best part. For the first time in years, I wasn't waking up to texts asking for money, guilt-tripping voicemails or sudden emergencies where I was expected to swoop in and fix everything. Jacob had finally shut up. Or so I thought. Exactly 1 month after I sent him that final text, my phone rang. My mother. I should have known it wouldn't be good. Sweetheart. Her voice was thick with forced warmth. We need to talk. I sighed, already rubbing my temples. Let me guess. Jacob's struggling, and you want me to fix it. There was a pause. It's not about fixing, honey. It's about forgiveness. I let out a short laugh. Oh, that's what we're calling it now? Don't be cruel, she snapped, her patience slipping. We're having a family dinner this weekend. Your father and I think it's time you and Jacob sat down like grown men and worked this out. I glanced at my calendar. Saturday, 7:00 p.m. Oh, so they even picked a time for my public shaming. How convenient. I leaned back in my chair, smiling to myself. Let me get this straight. You want me to sit across from the same brother who called me a loser and kicked me out of Lily's birthday. The same guy who's been bad-mouthing me online. The same guy who, let me guess, wants another favor? It's not like that, she insisted, but there was something in her voice, a hesitation, and I knew. Holy shit, I stopped myself. He does need something, doesn't he? Mom exhaled sharply. Jacob just needs a little help getting back on his feet. I barked out a laugh. Unbelievable. What is it this time? Another car, an apartment? Let me guess. He finally burned through his GoFundMe cash? You don't have to be so mean, she snapped. Oh, but I do. Fine, she huffed. If you must know, Jacob's been struggling to find work. It's in a bad place, sweetheart. He put himself there, I said. He's your brother. Silence. I let it stretch, let the weight of my indifference settle on her. And then I twisted the knife. You didn't care about me when he shut me out, I said, voice cold. You stood there and let him humiliate me. You didn't stop him. You didn't say a word. That's not fair, I cut her off. And now that he's suffering, suddenly we're family again? Another silence, then finally she sighed. "So, you're not coming?" "No, Mom, I'm not coming." And for the first time in my life, I hung up first. I thought that was the end of it, that my parents would sulk, Jacob would stew in his own misery, and I'd go back to enjoying my peace. But Jacob was always so predictable. Because that Saturday at exactly 7:42 p.m. my doorbell rang. Bang, bang, bang. I sighed. I knew exactly who it was, and I already knew exactly how this was going to go. Jacob was about to beg, and I was about to enjoy every second of it. I checked the peephole. Oh, this was going to be fun. I took my time opening the door, let him wait, let him sit in his own frustration. When I finally swung it open, Jacob stood there, hands shoved in his pockets, eyes wild, mouth already curling into some half-baked excuse. I smirked. "No dinner at Mom's." He clenched his jaw. "Let me in." I leaned against the doorframe. "Why?" His nostrils flared. "Because we need to talk." I pretended to consider it. "Yeah, no." I started closing the door, but he jammed his foot in it. That was a mistake. "All right," I said, pushing the door open just enough to step onto the porch. "Say what you came to say, then leave." Jacob exhaled hard. "Look, man, I know we've had our differences." I laughed. "Oh, is that what we're calling it?" He glared but pushed forward. I just need a little help, all right?" There it was. I crossed my arm. "Let me guess. Money." His eye twitched. "That GoFundMe didn't stretch as far as you thought, huh?" I tilted my head. "Or did Mom and Dad finally tell you they weren't covering your lazy ass anymore?" He exploded, face flushing red. I grinned. "Why, am I wrong?" He inhaled sharply, then ran a hand down his face, voice dropping into a desperate whisper. "I just need a loan, okay?" I raised an eyebrow. "Oh, so now I'm good enough to help." Jacob swallowed hard. I messed up, all right, I get it. I went too far." I stared at him, and for a second I almost believed him. But then I saw it, the same entitled glint in his eye, the same expectation that I'd always cave, and I smiled. "Oh, buddy," I said, stepping closer, "I don't lend money." His face fell. I leaned in. "I give money." For a brief, hopeful moment, his eyes lit up, and then I finished him. For a brief, hopeful moment, his eyes lit up. I patted his shoulder hard enough to make him stumble. "You'll figure it out, champ." Then, without another word, I turned and shut the door in his face. That was the last time Jacob ever came to me for help. A week later, I heard through Kelly that he had finally gotten a job. Not a great one, but a job. A paycheck that wasn't mine. And for once, I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel spite. I just felt free, because for the first time in his life, Jacob had to stand on his own 2 feet. And for the first time in mine, I had zero regrets about letting him fall. 6 months. That's how long it had been since I shut the door in Jacob's face. Since I stopped answering my mother's guilt-tripping calls, since I finally decided that I wasn't responsible for fixing his life. And let me tell you, those 6 months, absolute peace. No more emergency money requests, no more walking ATM treatment. Just silence. But as the days passed, while I still felt the relief of no longer being my family's personal ATM, doubt began creeping in. I scrolled through my phone, staring at the messages I had ignored. My mother's guilt-tripping, my father's passive attempts at reason, and Jacob's angry outbursts. It was predictable, yet something gnawed at me. Had I been too harsh? I wasn't second-guessing, cutting them off financially, no. That part was long overdue. But had I gone too far in walking away entirely, in leaving Lily behind? That thought sat heavy in my chest. I had always made sure she had what she needed, not because Jacob asked, but because she was just a kid. She had no say in her father's actions, and now she was caught in the crossfire. I opened Reddit, hesitating for only a moment before typing out my post. Am I the asshole for cutting off my entitled brother and parents, even though it means my niece might suffer? I laid it all out, the years of financial support, the insults, the entitlement, the Christmas ban, and my decision to finally say enough. But I also explained the doubt, the part of me that wondered if I was punishing the wrong person, if there was a way to maintain my boundaries without completely disappearing. I hit post and waited. The responses came fast. You are not the asshole. Your brother made his bed, let him lie in it. Your niece has other family. You are not her only lifeline. You're feeling guilty because you're a good person, but don't let that guilt drag you back into a toxic situation. One comment stood out. If you want to be there for Lily, do it directly. Set up a savings account in her name, buy her guilt separately, but do not let your brother guilt you into funding his life again. I exhaled, reading that over a few times. That actually made sense. I didn't have to throw myself back into the fire to make sure Lily was okay. For the first time in days, I felt clarity. I picked up my phone, scrolling past the dozens of messages from Jacob and my parents, and instead, I typed out a text to Kelly. Hey, I want to help Lily, but I'm not giving Jacob another cent. Let's talk. And just like that, I had my answer.